So my youngest child, Sienna, she was 18 weeks old when she started getting like a rash on her chest. And it was like, I thought just heat rash. It was like, oh, like the pin prickly. Um, and she was just like gradually throughout the days just got worse and just couldn't sleep, didn't want to eat. So she was still on milk feeds then. Um, she was just really grumpy, kind of pulling on her ear. So took her to my local GP, and there was a locum there. And I even remember sitting there now, like she had a fever. It wasn't 40 yet, but it was climbing up. Um, it turned out she had an ear infection, throat infection, plus the fever, and then the rash. So by that point, the rash had kind of spread on her trunk, really, but it was still like the heat rash type. And it wasn't until that evening that her temperature went up to 40. And the kind of rash all kind of just merged into one. It was like one great like blotches all over her, and it had gone to her arms. So yeah, took her up to A&E. And I remember the junior doctor coming over to her, having a look at her and saying, she just needs antibiotics. That's all she needs. She doesn't need anything else. There's nothing else wrong with her. And kind of was really dismissive of me and my concerns, like as if I was like almost like a first time mum, when you kind of you get that almost attitude, don't you, because they think that you're overreacting. And the fact that she literally hadn't eaten for about 12 hours, 18 hours, something like that. 18 weeks old. I just refused to go anywhere, and that's the one and only time that I've kind of I don't know, put my foot down and gone against what I was being told,
Yeah.
And yeah, the sister of the ward, she came over and she said, no, she's really quite ill. And so they took us in, and it kind of all just progressed from that. But it was really frustrating that at that point we'd been in contact with two medical professionals, and neither of them, even though she had I'd say 4 of the 6 symptoms, hadn't picked it up. They hadn't picked it up at all. So yeah. And we would have lost so much time. Like it took the hospital I think 5 days. We were in hospital 10 days, me and Sienna. And it took, I'd say, up to day 8 before they actually had a diagnosis, and so that we could start the treatment. So she was right on that cusp of day. And you help. And she had, like, we went through, I don't know, measles, scarlet fever, meningitis. We went through this whole list of stuff that it could be, and Kawasaki's was literally an afterthought. And it was only because there was a young boy that had been treated 2-3 weeks earlier by the same consultant. We were given, I think, a printout, which I think was from the NHS website, and that was it.
Okay.
And it was only by looking, I went on Facebook and just typed it in, and there's a group on there.
Yeah.
It was literally just reading the posts, and kind of that helped put my mind at ease to some degree. One, that she wasn't the only one, clearly, but just kind of like, well, what comes next? What's the prognosis? How's this gonna affect her?
Yeah.
Once diagnosed, she was on immunoglobulins. I can't even say it, but she was on that. That was an infusion that was overnight. I think it was either 8 hours or 12 hours, and then there was a quicker one, I think. So I think there was 2, if I remember. So there was a little bit of a delay, and then she had another one, and I think that was like a 4 or 6 hour treatment. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
When they told you it was Kawasaki disease, or you kind of finally found out, did they tell you about some of the long-term care, or this is what the next steps are, or this is what we'll have to do?
They literally just told me about the immediate treatment. So the infusions that she'd need to have. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest I found on that Facebook group.
Okay, so that was your main source of like information. Oh wow, interesting.
I'd read on there that she's got to have calcium, like a calcium test.
Okay.
Kawasaki's that they don't absorb calcium or some. I don't know. There was something in there that I'd seen on research and stuff.
Mm. Yeah. And did they keep you in hospital long after when they started on their immunoglobulin stuff? And
I think she was treated day 5, or I think it was day 5, and then we came home day 10.
Okay.
Because I think her blood pressure kept going sky high, so they were worried that she was reacting to the treatment.
Yeah. Okay, that's good then. Could you able to go home? Have I missed anything, Rebecca, in the questions?
No, I don't think so. If we go on to advocacy, so in your experience, how important do you feel the education of the disease and raising awareness about it, how important it is? Because
Massive.
like you say, you didn't know
No,
anything.
I didn't know, but I got the impression that, like I say, we'd seen 2 health professionals, 2 doctors, Oakham and a junior doctor, who had no clue. It didn't even enter into the equation, for want of a better word. It wasn't part of their thinking, even. Like the fact that she had the fever, the rash, she had the throat infection, the ear infection, that's all key. And I think she had a node was really swollen on one side, which again is another. When you look at the list of symptoms, it's all there.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, really, because you're on a time deadline. You've got 5 months in which to then start the treatment. If you do it after that, it's got a massive impact, and I think it needs to be awareness within that community, as well as parents, like as well as general population, but it also needs to be in their minds as well.
I'm not surprised. Well, I'm glad to hear she was okay and on a better journey now. But thank you, it really does and will make a difference. I think there's so much unknown and so much hope, and we understanding now more and more the importance of that first Google, that first do you know what I mean? That first check for any information. Because in my ignorance as well, I mean, I'm sure I've told you before, but I didn't know that the NHS didn't really have a lot of information, like it's our information that's given out in hospitals and things like that. And I was just completely unaware. So I think, the more that we can get out similar stories and hearing positive experience from people who've been through it, and giving people the confidence to stand up when they're in that situation. Thank you. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.